Mario Kart World, as well as the Switch 2, have been out for about 3 weeks now, and I've been spending a lot of time with it. More than maybe any other launch of a Mario Kart game. So I figured while I'm racing on these tracks again and again, trying to get a stupid Kamek Orb to spawn, I might as well write down my thoughts as I go and make a tier list video about it. I'm going to be ranking all 30 standalone courses that Mario Kart World has to offer. My system's a little loosey-goosey, but it can be summarized with a question. How soon do I want to race on this track again? Right away? Never? Somewhere in between? That pretty much sums up the process. I've never really gone full analysis mode on a Mario Kart before, so it should be an interesting challenge to diagnose what I like, what I don't like, and why. We're talking standard versus mode tracks, none of that intermission stuff. I'd be here for months. Going in Grand Prix order, since that's the order I raced on each track for the first time. A tier to D tier, you all know the drill. Let's rank some courses and let me know how I do. Starting off on Mario Bros. Circuit. It's the first course of the game and it does show. I mean, I like it. I think it does a lot to differentiate itself from previous circuit courses. Instead of a typical grassy field or in this arid mesa cliffside, with an interesting greaser garage aesthetic thrown into the mix. But it's got more than just looks. You got this big half loop to drive around, very cool. And this little glider section that you can use to fly over the finish line. Ooh, I also like this little pit stop here, very reminiscent of GBA Mario Circuit. This is a pretty simple introduction course though, and it can only do so much to stand out among the others. It's a great opener for what's in store, but I'd much rather race on just about any other course in the game. Still, I appreciate the effort. Now we enter Crown City. This is one of 2 courses in the game that are so big in scope that the Grand Prix splits them between 2 different cups. There's just that much city to race through. This is a 3-section race, so every lap brings you to different parts of the city and hits you with different obstacles. The first lap starts on top of this big bridge before sending you off to the city streets. The second lap starts you on Main Street, and then you go up a parking garage until you're hopping across solar panels in the sky. Then you jump through this massive golden tire and fly over the main street you were just driving on. Then the third lap winds down, bringing you to this calm seaside part of the city before ending the race. It's all very cool, and I appreciate how full the city feels, but I think the main thing holding it back for me is just city fatigue. Mario Kart 8 had so many city tracks that I think I'm just a little tired of the theme, even when it's presented as nicely as this one. So I think a B is where this is ending up. It just doesn't have that flair that I love in a Mario Kart course. Next is Whistlestop Summit, the train course. I had an interesting arc with this one. When I first saw it, I thought I'd love it right out the gate. We're driving through this quaint little mountain town alongside a railroad with a train speeding by with some of my favorite music so far. I thought it'd be thrilling grinding on all the railroad tracks, but my first impressions were actually kind of middling. I was underwhelmed at first and was ready to rank this on the lower end of the list. But then, a little later on, I went back and I tried it again a couple more times. And suddenly, I was chaining jumps together, finding new rails to travel on, and appreciating the course in a much stronger way. I'd really come around to it, and I'm thankful that I gave it that second chance. It's still not one of my top tier favorites, but I do think it's going to rank so much higher than I initially thought it was going to, which is great. I love it when I'm wrong and I get to experience just what makes a track so good. However, it would be quickly beaten out because next came DK Spaceport. I can't believe they gave us such a peak course this early. What a wild concept to turn DK's original arcade game into this souped up space station. And then there's, you know, the giant mechanical Donkey Kong you're driving towards. He's insane. He makes this entire race feel like a boss fight. The track's got this interesting zigzag layout meant to replicate the arcade look, and splits each section into its own lap. Yeah, this is a 6-lap course. How bizarre. Each lap essentially contains its own unique challenge. The first lap is just kind of meant to get you there and establish your enemy, Mecha Kong. But once you get to the second lap, the gauntlet really begins. You're hopping over barrels, you're dodging cannons, you're weaving your way through this grind rail web, and then you finally face down against DK himself, throwing massive barrels at you. The special hammer music that they play just for this part, perfect. My only wish is that Mecha Kong exploded or something at the end. Like, we're in this big boss fight, but the boss never gets defeated. We just kind of drive under him and race over. But you know, that's not enough to ruin the experience for me. This was such a fun idea and a great execution. Just one of my favorite courses, period. Now we get DS Desert Hills. This is the first retro course, and it's a DS course, which means my nostalgia is in full force here. But this isn't Desert Hills, like at all. All the Mario 3 references have been trimmed away, save for a single image of the angry sun on the starting line. They have been replaced, though, with Mario Land references. Specifically, these two Moe head enemies, Badadons and Toko Tokos. These guys have not been seen since the Game Boy, so it is interesting seeing them as 3D models. That is cool, but it's also the only notable part about this course at all. No fireballs, no pokies. All the yellows have been desaturated, which Mario Kart keeps doing to its desert courses. There's no hills in Desert Hills. It's just lifeless here. It got the worst of both worlds. It's not faithful to the original, which, let's be honest, wasn't DS's best showing anyway. And it doesn't do anything new or exciting. It's just desert with one Mario Land reference. D tier for sure. Possibly even the worst track in the game, but we'll see. Now for a desert adjacent course that I like a lot more. It's 3DS Shy Guy Bazaar. I've always loved the Arabian theming this course has. And World even included a few Sarasaland touches, which is really neat. Driving through the course is fun too. You can either bob and weave through the market stands or hop up onto the awnings. It's a very tight course compared to the others. You'll often find yourself funneled with all the other racers or sneaking into really tight alternate routes. But it's the details, man. The details in the market are so intricate, you could practically go shopping. It all ends with this big jump where you dodge a Shy Guy riding a magic carpet, which is just wonderful. Gotta say though, nighttime makes the colors pop in a really big way. The atmosphere is totally neutered when racing in the day. It's a perfectly fine course with a really enticing theme, but a simple and short track compared to others, so I think it goes here. You want to talk about a glow up though? Check out Wario Stadium. This retro track is pretty infamous for being the only course from Mario Kart 64 never to reappear in another game. And also, like, the worst track from that game. It's been so long that people just assume that they were skipping this one, especially since DS introduced another Wario Stadium, same name and all. But man, they really took this underperforming track and turned it into something exhilarating. There are ramp jumps everywhere, like you're constantly moving at super fast speeds. And Wario really knows how to put on a show, because this one jump where the flames shoot out all around you, it's just, incredible. Now, they did cut a decent portion of this track out from the original, and some out there will say that this doesn't even look like Wario Stadium anymore, but in this instance, I think trimming the fat has only helped this course in becoming faster and full of energy. And if a transformation is this good, then I think it's worth it. This is the kind of upgrade that deserves to be rewarded. So far, we've seen these retro courses take wildly different approaches and completely reinvent the original tracks from the ground up. But there are some that just exist exactly as you remember it, and DS Airship Fortress is one of those. This one is a track that I hold near and dear to my heart, so I'm glad they stuck to what worked. After all, nothing quite beats racing in an active aerial battlefield, dodging bullet bills, fire pillars, and rocky wrenches. All as this intimidating music plays, like the song of an oncoming army. I love all the additional details they added in, like these blueprints on the wall, and this like bullet bill conveyor belt section. They even fixed up the part of the old track that used to be broken. Makes me wonder just how long this battle has been going on. I will say that I never loved this one part with the long spiraling loop thing, but aside from that, this is just classic Airship Fortress, and I can't get enough of it. Just by being itself, it manages to be one of the best courses in the game. I can't believe how many DS courses we have here back to back. Not that I'm complaining, mind you. Next is DK Pass. another course that, layout-wise, keeps things as you remember. Yet, I think a lot has been done in the aesthetics department to make it way more enjoyable to race on. The original just kind of looked like nothing, just a snowy path without much in it. But here, it's been reimagined as a cozy log cabin ski resort, and it just seems so pleasant. I love those big DK barrels spitting out more snow, just making sure the ski course is always fresh in case a snowboarding Shy Guy comes by. I do miss all the snowmen that used to be here, but I think the Shy Guys are an equal exchange. And I think DK's new design really fits the vibe of this place. I mean, look at the sign here, the starting line. How could you not love them? It's not the most exciting course in the world, I'll agree to that, but I kind of enjoy it as comfort food. Our first brand new course in a while, this is Starview Peak. Let's get one thing out of the way early. This track looks beautiful. Like, you could convince me this was a part of Rainbow Road. That kind of beautiful. Especially this section here where you're driving on this starry blue river. Like, come on, it's incredible. But it kind of feels like something's missing here, doesn't it? Once you get past the good looks, there's not a ton going on. Like, there are boosts on the road, sure, but this place doesn't stick with me the way I feel like it should. I read the word Starview Peak and visions of this ethereal mountain rising through the starry sky enter my mind. Lumas everywhere, comets flying by, but instead, I feel like this track is pulling its punches, and that's kind of a shame. Even the layout is unimpactful. I mean, it's just kind of one big circle. I wish this track was aiming for higher, and it's not like it's doing anything wrong. I just think the missed potential is so vast. Grab your ice cream cones, we're headed to Sky High Sunday, a course that made its debut in Mario Kart Tour, and one that I never really loved. I always thought that the colors were really garish and the layout was not all that exciting, but now, I honestly had a great time racing on this course. What happened? Well, the visuals are improved for sure. Now, instead of blinding flat colors, it actually does look like a dessert-themed wonderland. But it's the gameplay that's the true standout. This course flies at a mile a minute, and there are so many rails and ramps to chain on, you'll practically be boosted the entire way through. And I don't remember there being this many alternate paths to take. All this on a layout that's literally an oval. I just got on Starview Peak's case for being just a circle, but if you're going to do that, you might as well fill it to the brim with trick opportunities and shortcuts. I've really come around to this track, and it's one of the biggest surprises for me out of all the retro courses. Okay, Wario's Shipyard. I'm not that familiar with this place, but from what I've seen of it, it didn't look this barren, did it? It feels like it took the Wario out of the shipyard. Okay, that's a little harsh. There is this big wooden Wario face that laughs at you hauntingly as you drive by it. That's cool, but still, it just seems like a regular old shipwreck now. I'm trying to figure out what's missing here. I took a look at both courses side by side, and well, layout-wise, it seems pretty much the same. Same big anchor, same giant cannon. That means the only major difference here is the water. That's right, duh, how did I forget? You don't drive underwater in Mario Kart World. Instead, you surf over the water, which means a lot of the underwater parts from the original course have been replaced with surfing. You'd think that'd be a red flag, but you know what? The more that I race here, the more fun it is chaining wave jumps together. I thought losing all the vibrant yellows and purples was a loss, but once I raced at night and saw those sickly, ghostly greens, I started to appreciate what this track was going for. Yeah, I think I've done a full 180 on this track. It's not my favorite or anything, but I do see the vision, and I think it stands on its own as a unique take on this course. Okay, here's the thing with Koopa Troopa Beach SNES. I need you to hear me out on this one. Is it a minuscule racetrack? Yes. Is it a beyond vintage Super Nintendo course? Absolutely. But here's the thing, you see. On Koopa Troopa Beach, it's party time. It's party time. Everybody's feeling fine 'cause it's party time. Koopa took this old, forgotten beach and turned it into Party City, with himself dead in the center, rocking out killer tunes. And you got 5 laps of this party to enjoy. I wish they went even harder with this theme. Bring in a giant Koopa shell disco ball or something. Just go crazy. It's the smallest track in the game by far, and in all seriousness, I can't place it that high for its simplicity. But darn it, it's just so much fun. The vibes are perfect, and sometimes that is what it's all about. Away Oasis is a new track to the series, promising a really cool safari theming, and it mostly achieves that, especially when you jump off this big ramp and you can see the entire savannah beneath you. I gotta say though, kinda like on Koopa Beach, I wish they ran even harder with the theme that they chose. There's a bunch of safari animals watching you in the background, which, you know, that's cool, but why limit them to just watch? Let them have more of a presence. Why not have the elephants bathing in the water here? Or have us driving through a stampede of bison? I bet some of these elements exist on the intermissions, but here on the standalone track, there's a shocking lack of animals to see. I wish I could say it was one of my favorites. I think there's a version of this track that I would really like, but the one I'm racing on right now is just kind of average and fine, with a really cool theme. I can't take that away from it. Now to the massive Peach Stadium, the second multi-cup track after Crown City. And I gotta tell you, they're not created equal in the Grand Prix. The first Peach Stadium that they have is such a nothing course compared to the one in the Special Cup. But that's neither here nor there. What do I think about this entire thing as a standalone? Straight up, how dare Grand Prix not present this course at its fullest potential? This is absolutely wonderful. Right from the starting line, I'm in love with the visuals. Check out that beautiful stained glass peach and all the falling confetti. Come on. I make it no secret that I'm a sucker for the color pink. And just look around. It's pink everywhere. It really feels like this huge sporting event that the entire Mushroom Kingdom is watching. And I love that you can drive up and around the stadium. It's just unbelievably cool. If you haven't tried racing on this track on the Versus mode, please give it a shot, because the Grand Prix version does not do it justice at all. 2 Peach courses in a row. This time it's Double Dash's Peach Beach, aka Cataquack Track. This is a very different beast than the original, turning the relatively simple Peach Beach into a 3-section course. Yet somehow the entire race still feels kind of short. The first lap is pretty much the Peach Beach you remember, except now you can cut through the water over here, though that means you won't get to see any cataquacks, and that's like the entire point of Peach Beach. Once you finish that, lap 2 blocks that lane and opens up an upward path toward a new resort area. During this part, you can either drive up onto some awnings, or down below and see a few stores. I don't know, compared to Shy Guy Bazaar, this place looks kind of barren. But the third lap is somehow even less interesting. It takes place entirely on water, and there's almost nothing to do on it. And it definitely feels like the longest part on what's already a short experience. I think this was a swing and a miss, honestly. I'm not sure how an unchanged Peach Beach would have held up today, but I think I'd like it at least a little more than what we got here. Salty Salty Speedway is that a mermaid Birdo statue? Okay, you definitely got my attention. Hope you like water, because you'll be spending nearly this entire course surfing on it. I do like the aesthetics of this place. Very strong Venice theming, romantic, which feels appropriate for Birdo. And I like the flowing shallow water running alongside the land paths, and these 2 stairways that you can use to drive over the starting line. But beyond that, I'm not even sure what else to talk about. The water's got no waves to trick on. It's just kind of calm, average water. Though you do get a toad boat to jump off of, sometimes. And for goodness sake, if you're gonna have a mermaid Birdo statue, you might as well present it prominently, instead of hiding it in this corner here where we can barely see it. This track does look gorgeous during sunset though. Absolutely the best time of day to race on this one. But yeah, as heartbreaking as it is, it's not really one of my favorites, unfortunately. Welcome to Dino Jungle Park. We've got a massive overhaul here for a classic double dash course. Dino Jungle was a fine track, simple, cute, had a grand total of 1 dinosaur in it, but now we have evolved into a full-on Jurassic Park homage, with several dinosaurs running around and very present throughout the race. You can trick off a Triceratops, like come on! I love the blending between the naturalistic jungle vibes and this hyper-mechanical facility feel. You'd think these themes would clash more, but instead they blend seamlessly together. Like this part here, where you can either drive up onto the metal rafters, or take a chance down below and risk getting trampled by a T-Rex. Incredible! I know it can be a tricky task to take a classic course and revamp it to a modern standard, but I think this one stands as a great example to follow. Big thumbs up from me. The Great Question Block Ruins. Mouthful of a title, that one. There's another name that I like to call it. Skill Issue Circuit. I'm dreadful at this track. It's a very technical course with so many winding paths and sharp turns and chaining jumps. It's easily the track that I fell off the course the most in this entire game. I imagine this one's going to be a very common track pick on higher tiers of play, and will be a very difficult challenge for newer players to get used to. But hopefully the theme does enough to keep people racing on it, because I do really like the theme. I love their idea of representing NES sprites as these mysterious ancient carvings, and these bouncing clouds are great too. Funnily enough, it almost feels like a Lakitu course. There's a lot of Lakitu imagery everywhere. As difficult as it is, I keep coming back to try and get better. And I think that says a lot about this track's fun factor. I do wonder if I'd rank it higher once I got better at it, but right now a very high B tier feels right for me. Next in the surprisingly long lineage of Cheep Cheep themed courses, we have Cheep Cheep Falls. This place might be the most gorgeous track yet, with all the archways and hanging lanterns and lots of water. But this time, the water's actually fun to race on. The current is moving so quickly, giving this sense of urgency and speed. And there's plenty of river rocks and bamboo sticks to trick off of. But it's not just a track full of water. The parts on land are brief, sure, but they're still pretty memorable. I love this rock garden part at the start of the race, and this big pagoda that you can cut through at the end of it. And the music? Like, are you kidding? For how much praise I've given it, you'd think this was one of my favorite courses in the game. And it is, but there's just so many great tracks in this game that it's pretty crowded up at the top. But don't worry, we won't have that problem here, because now we got Dandelion Depths. Not really sure I jive with this one. The idea is we're racing through caves of dandelions, right? Well, where are the dandelions? There's pollen particles in the air, and maybe a few of them peppered underground here, but it doesn't really feel like we're taking advantage of this theme. It almost feels incidental. It's a very short track, and an even shorter portion of it is actually underground. And with how bright this blue light is, it's kind of hard to make out any of the details during a race. Maybe if you like wall riding, you'll like this place, but I just don't really feel the urge to learn the ins and outs of this course. Almost every other track in the game is more appealing to me than this one. Oh man, do I like it worse than Desert Hills? No, but it's close. From bottom tier to top tier, next is Boo Cinema. The instant I read that title, I knew I was in love. As you've probably gathered by now, aesthetics and vibe go a long way for me, and this track is just bursting with creativity. This is a haunted movie theater where we actually drive through the screen and onto giant floating film strips. I'm in awe. And the film strips are actually depicting shots of Peach, and I love the detail of zooming in and seeing her surprised face. I only wish there was more of this place, as when you really look at it, it's a pretty simple track. You enter the theater, you jump through the screen, you leave the theater, and that's kind of it. But like, that is simply cool enough for me to still be one of my favorite tracks in this game. I see myself selecting Boo Cinema over courses that have more going on in their layout just for the vibes alone. It's that cool. Dry Bones Burnout. Kind of a crazy theme we got going on here. Combining Dry Bones with a Day of the Dead aesthetic, complete with music to match. There are so many winding paths throughout this course that you could take different directions with each lap if you wanted to. And easily the coolest part for me is flying over this giant dry bone skull. Depending on which lane you exit from, you either fly into its mouth or onto its nose and through its eye sockets. And as if that wasn't intense enough, there's also pools of lava everywhere and big bones sticking out all over the track. And yet, the vibe here is actually pretty vibrant. and charming. The music probably does a lot of heavy lifting there, but it's also all the color and decorations too. That's kind of what Day of the Dead is all about, right? Taking a scary topic and making it not so scary after all. This course took me by surprise by how much I ended up liking it and how strongly I appreciated its theme. Moo Meadows from Mario Kart Wii. The classic, the timeless, well, I mean, it's just kind of Moo Meadows, isn't it? I know we love this track for the cows, but looking at what's here beyond that, there's really not much else to say. It certainly has personality, that's undeniable. The cows are obstacles, occasionally. You know, when they feel like it. This course was just featured in Mario Kart 8, and I think the detail work was done a little bit better there. But on the flip side, I think the vibrant colors are done better here when compared to 8. In the daytime, anyway. And I suppose it does feel nice to have this harmless drive on the simple countryside with a bunch of smiling cows cheering you on. It's pleasant, sure, but I just don't feel like it can keep up with the other great courses that exist in this game. Oh man, Choco Mountain, what happened to you? This is another retro track, this time from 64. And I'm very conflicted about what they've done here. I respect the attempt at story progression. The mountain is being excavated, all the chocolate's been mined out, and now there's only a little bit of the mountain left. That is a unique direction to take an old N64 era track, but man, it's kind of a sad state to see it in. I feel like I'm witnessing the destruction of a natural wonder. And then, of course, there's the issue of who wants to race on Choco Mountain with no chocolate? Layout-wise, it's not a bad course at all. The falling rocks and the series of steep jumps at the end are all still here. The addition of all the charging chucks running around is interesting. I don't really know what they're all doing here. Are they running this place? Do I blame them for ruining the mountain? I don't even love Choco Mountain that much, but like, just looking at it makes me sad. Perhaps it's now a better designed course to race on objectively, but I don't know if the end result was worth it. Toad's Factory. This is the second retro course from Wii that we've seen. This track is kind of infamous for taking years to make another appearance in Mario Kart. I never played the original, so this is my first ever time on this course, and yeah, I agree. What on earth took them so long? This is brilliant. I love that they didn't lock themselves to like a gray color palette for a factory. Instead, we get all these bright yellows and blues and greens. I'm so intrigued by the mechanisms of this place too. We seem to be constructing item blocks, which is such a cool concept. But then what's this big rolling ball machine for? Why is the alarm going off in this section over here? There's just so much happening. I want to pull over and look around. Oh, and this part right here where you trick off all the bulldozers? Just incredible stuff. I feel like I'm at the Fun Factory. And the music, top tier. One of the most pleasant surprises I had this entire game, and I cannot wait to get back to it. It's tough competition these days as a Bowser Castle course, but I think this one succeeds in the assignment. It feels so claustrophobic and intimidating, exactly as Bowser would want it. The go symbol barely has time to vanish before the track is throwing tight turns and shortcut opportunities at you. And what kind of Bowser Castle would it be without deadly obstacles? You got a giant lava geyser, lightning storms, jumping through a Bowser statue head filled with magma teeth, and meteor storms. The whole package. Looking around, I wonder what this place actually is. I see smokestacks and Tesla coils. Perhaps this is some big control station where Bowser powers all of his contraptions? I can't believe they made Bowser's server room into this cool of a course. I've talked a lot about daytime and nighttime preferences today, but this is the only track that I think looks best when it's raining. But yeah, it's Bowser's Castle, all right. While the competition may be fierce, it's also pretty hard to make a bad one. We're nearing the end now. This is Acorn Heights. A very nice looking track. Love the dense forest vibe with toad tree houses and the classic Mushroom Gorge bouncy mushrooms. It's whimsical, like I've just entered a fantasy Ren fair. There's a ton of vines scattered around that can make for grinding shortcuts, but you gotta keep your eyes peeled, as some of them won't lead you to helpful locations if you stick around for too long. I'm struggling to diagnose what's not clicking for me here. Maybe it's a similar case to the Great Question Block Ruins. This is another technical course where it's very easy to mess up maneuvers. Or maybe it's just too similar to other tracks of the past. I already brought up Mushroom Gorge, but Wild Woods is a much closer comparison. Whatever the case may be, I still think it's a pretty solid course with a great look, and I'm sure the more I race on it, the more I'll like it. Mario Circuit, SNES. The final retro course of this game, and the first ever course, technically. I see what they were trying to do. They've combined the layouts of Mario Circuits 1, 2, and 3 into one big fusion track. Each lap is one of the 3 layouts. So you basically get 3 circuits in one. On paper, I like that. It's a decent way of incorporating the original game's tracks. And you don't get more original than this one. But, you know, it's still just SNES Mario Circuit. It's flat and simplistic by design, and nothing's really been done to make them more engaging besides stitching them all together. Lap 1's got some pipes to dodge, lap 2 has a jump, lap 3 has this one boost panel right here. That's it. I respect the classics and all that. I'm not against bringing back SNES tracks at all, but unless they really spice them up, like turning it into a disco party, for instance, there's only so engaging these tracks can be. What this is doing in the Special Cup is beyond me. Finally, we have this game's take on the timeless Rainbow Road. Maybe it's recency bias, maybe it's a predictable choice, but darn it, Rainbow Road is just built different. They pulled 0 punches, making this track not only a memorable finale, but a cinematic experience. It's so grandiose, it needs 4 laps to get the whole thing across. Lap 1 is like a false sense of security. Yeah, it's beautiful, but it's what you expect out of a Rainbow Road. I do love how the road shines like glass, and looking onward gives you a big sign that you've got plenty of road ahead of you. Lap 2 hits, and suddenly the rainbow is gone. The music changes to a more somber piece, and you're racing upon this starry blue river. Hey, Starview Peak was Rainbow Road after all. Lap 3 changes things up again. The music is replaced by a thumping beat and a bouncy tune as you fly towards a distant space station. The outside looks bland and metallic, but once you're inside, you are cascaded in an onslaught of color and thwomps. Then, finally, lap 4. The buildup is immense, the camera slowly pans up, and I can hardly find the words. Once your wheels touch rainbow again and your jaw is back off the floor, trains fly by carrying all your favorite characters. You got Mecha DK, you got the Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's like all the past courses are cheering you on for the finale. The music swells as you jump to the final portion of the track. One last ride, one last hurrah, and then it's over. Magical. The spectacle on display here is unquantifiable. And sure, maybe on repeat races, the magic will wear off in time. It's a pretty long course to race, I'll admit that. But right now, I'm mesmerized. And all I want to do is go back and experience it all again. Definitely a Rainbow Road for the history books. And that's the tier list. Very few of the tracks in this game were unenjoyable to race on, and I think that's a testament to how long this game's been cooking in the oven. Maybe someday, years from now, this game's track count will double the way Mario Kart 8's did, but for now, I think this is a very strong lineup for a very strong Mario Kart game. Let me know what you think though. Were some of these courses not all I hyped them up to be? Are you Dandelion Depths' #1 fan? If so, please, let me know. I'm genuinely curious what everybody thinks. And let me know if you enjoyed the video. I've never really done a tier list like this before, so I hope it was an entertaining watch. Thanks for keeping me company and for all your support. I'll see you next time for the next video.